What's up, guys? We got another game, the Black Pieces, against Fumomizi 2082. And I played a Caro Kann. He takes the full center. I go d5, Caro Kann. He defends his pawn. You could take it and develop the bishop to hit the knight, but I take it, and instead of developing my bishop, I bring the knight out to challenge it. He can take, he can also go back. He takes. We could take either way. Taking with the e-pawn is the Tartakower variation, more solid. But still tricky. I took with the g-pawn, which is less popular, less solid, and more interesting. This is the Bronstein Larsen variation. So he develops the knight. I should probably go queen c7 immediately, just stopping any bishop f4 and preparing long castle. Not immediately, after bishop g4. So for my next move now, this is good to get in so that you can close your pawn chain with the bishop outside. So we pin the knight. He blocks with the bishop, unpinning the knight. Now I should go queen c7, stopping bishop f4. I play e6, opening up my bishop, and if he plays bishop f4, I can challenge it with my bishop. He kicks my bishop. I could go bishop f5, and I also could go bishop h5. Both are good moves. I took, but I probably should move it back a square in the future, because after he recaptures, he has another attacker of the d5 square, so it actually helps him push it eventually. So I develop my bishop to d6 to control his diagonal. He goes queen e2, setting up this pin, maybe preparing d5, because I can take this way, and if I take with the c-pawn, he can capture again, and I still can't take. So maybe he's setting up tricks. I go knight d7. Now if he goes d5, I might have like a knight e5 intermezzo hitting the bishop. I guess if the bishop goes forward, we might even have f5 there, forcing it to go a different way, then we can recapture on the d5 square. So I still think I'm safe. Also, even if he did this and I took once and he took with the bishop and I moved my queen out, that might be fine too. So he develops his bishop here, stopping short castle. Here you could go queen c7, queen e7, and long castle. But I decided that I wanted to give this check first, and he can only do three things. c3, which I'm fine with because now my queen's out, and I made him play c3, and normally he wants to go c4 to try to get in this break. And if he doesn't go c3 and blocks with the queen, I'll queen trade, and then try to play the endgame. And the last option is he retreats his bishop, and then I get to go to queen 7, but now his bishop's on a more passive square. So I went queen a5 check. He blocks with the bishop, and now I put the queen where I wanted it anyway, on c7. He long castles. We long castle. He moves his king over 1. We can also move our king over 1. Last move before I castled, I did see this alignment, and I was thinking if I should take the opportunity to go here and get the trades in. And I was thinking that if he takes and I take, I kept looking at d5, but the thing is he's in check and will have to waste a move, which means I'll be able to castle before he plays g5. So here, check, he goes over, castles, d5, take. Yeah, it's not really a problem, but I castled first just for safety. He moves his king over. I mean, here I can move my king over. I could still go for this bishop f4. There's also f5, which I played. Because if he ever gets in g4, I'm not really going to be able to play f5 ever. Because he'll just take it, and I'll mess up my pawn structure. So there's this setup with f pawns on f5 and h5. Trying to dissuade g4. Also, because I took his knight, there's no knight hops on these dark squares. But there are knight hops for me to use these dark squares. Right, so like here, here. f5. So now, yeah, this is generally when they strike in the center with c4 and try to blow things up. And a lot of times when they play c4, the right response is c5, but I don't know. Like, I don't get this enough to know the details of it. I would need a video explaining the nuances around playing c5 or not playing it. It looks kind of risky, but he also played c4. If he ever takes, it's not really a problem. He'll have to go b4 to continue. If he doesn't, then I have a nice piece on c5. But because I'm never sure when to play c5, I move my king over first, so it's at least out of line of sight. He reroutes his bishop, unlocks the rook, protects the pawn. It's a reasonable move. And he's aiming at the rook, so he's preparing d5 with tempo. I see the rook's hit. You really should move it to one of these squares so this doesn't work. f8 doesn't really make sense, so you choose from the other two. I picked g-file, but either way. So he moves his rook and lines up with my queen. Yeah. Now I play c5, never knowing if it's good or bad. Here it's apparently fine. And yeah, if he takes, you take with the knight, and you're probably fine. Yes, he can go b4, but he's opening up his king a lot. If he pushes, I think you can push, And yes, this is a protected pass pawn, but the file's clogged up. So like, this is protected 3 times, this is protected 3 times. And then there's really no way for him to break through. So I went c5. He swings his other rook over. His pieces are all nicely placed. Not so easy to find moves. This is an idea. He'll have to move it up. It's nice because it gets out of this line. I took the pawn. You can also take, and that opens up the square for one of your pieces. He takes back. And now here, this bishop, all I had to do to contest it is go bishop e5. And if he doesn't want to trade everything, like bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, rooks, like everything's gonna get traded. So if he doesn't want to do that, he'll have to go off of this diagonal. So like here, I don't even know if that works actually, because you can kick it again here, bring the queen out. In any case, this would have been a great move, contesting, trading stuff. There's this other idea of e5. And when the bishop, if a bishop moves here, you can keep hitting it. If the bishop moves back, you might be able to place a knight here or here. The only problem with e5 is this counter threat of c5, which I didn't see at the time. And so I really like bishop e5. But I played e5 not seeing the immediate c5, which counter threats the bishop. And so if I want to play e5, I should go bishop f4 first, winning a tempo on the rook. And let's say the rook moves, then I can go e5 without worrying about him counter hitting me. And when he moves the bishop somewhere, you know, then we could do other things. We could develop the knight. Maybe we can go e4, put this bishop on a weird spot, get the queen in. You know, there were options, but I missed c5, which he found. And now I have to take his bishop. He has to take mine. I have to take his pawn. And yeah, my pawn structure is super ugly. But I'm up a pawn for the moment. He activates his queen, threatens checkmate in 1, and hits his pawn. I have to stop checkmate in 1, so I gotta throw a piece here, the knight or the queen. I throw the queen. I don't mind a queen trade. He definitely doesn't trade and takes a free pawn. I should have forced the issue by going queen e6 or queen g6, just chasing his queen around and protecting my weaknesses. I don't know why I didn't do that. Instead, I just panicked and threw the game by making a move that makes no sense. If I'm not going to do this, then I need to fight for activity. So rook e8 makes sense, just to get an open file, even though I'm still not sure what it's doing there. But I played f6, and this move makes no sense whatsoever. I don't remember why I did it. It protects the pawn for a second, but this pawn is, I mean, there's no way that's the best move. And he could still take this one. I don't understand it. So he gets ready to just blast me. I don't have much to do. I'm completely losing already. Just from... Basically here I'm fine. These two moves which I mentioned are fine. Even e5, which allows c5, isn't the worst thing in the world because I followed it up correctly. And so basically here I need to put my queen in one of these spots. Ideally g6 covers both the weaknesses. Oh, it forces the trade. I didn't even realize that it forces it. Yeah, and then you could just try to hold that. You'll probably lose this pawn. It'll still be rough, but at least it's not instantly losing. And so this was just a losing move. f6. Yeah, one move and it's just toast. Now I have to play an only move, which kicks the queen so I could swing the rook over to protect against this. He takes the pawn, which I didn't like. I thought it would offside his queen, and now I can kind of get in. All I had to do here was go rook b5, applying pressure, and when he defends it, jump in with the knight and do some trickery. But I did the wrong move order, and I jumped in with the knight first. And now my rook can't get here because of this guy. So I tried to just do something, set up some tricks, like this is a trick. And also get my rook over to one of these squares. He has a winning move here, which I didn't see. I was just kind of making moves because I had less than a minute. So you can see I had a minute here, I was thinking what to do. I couldn't come up with anything. I only have 30 seconds left when I went here. He could go here, and my knight is trapped. It's not trapped, it's attacked. And when I move it, he'll just take this pawn with his other rook and beam me, and that's GG2. You can't go here, because you can just take out the rook. And when you take, he goes check. Here, check. He gets your knight. You get his rook. He gets your rook. You get his rook. He checkmates you. Yeah. So this was a good move, but he didn't see it. And now I had one chance to go rook b5 again and line up 3 guys on this pawn. And if he pushes, we could jump in and then go to h-file. I don't know why I didn't do that. Probably because 20 seconds left, so I chose this square. But there's no tricks on this square. And I'm not coordinated on this square. I'm coordinated on b2, so I'm not sure why I put my rook all the way over. Another losing mistake, because I'm back in the game here if I go b5 and put pressure. Didn't work. He doubles up the pawns, the rooks I mean. Here I can try going for this maybe, but at 20 seconds I did not want to calculate all of this, so I just made lift for my king. He brings his queen a little closer. And still don't know what to do. I don't have that many legal moves that make sense. So we push, and it's still equal position. blockades. And once again, I really need to go here to put pressure here. But did I do that? No. I brought the knight back because somewhere in the back of my brain I calculated completely incorrectly that now I can sack my rook with some stunning brilliancy. And when he takes, I can go check. And when he goes back, I don't even know what my follow-up was. You can't take the rook because your rook's hanging with check. And so takes, check, he goes back. If you throw your knight in, threatening mate, and this mate, what's he have there? Oh, he just mates you. Yeah, he just mates you. There's also here, check. Goes back, and then knight. Yeah, there's no threat. I'm not sure. So anyway, he moved his king away from my imaginary threats. I guess my threat wasn't one of the ones I thought. I had knight b3 there, so I could go knight b3. He has to go here, check here. That's a perpetual at least. So he moved out of the way of it, and now everything's still even. And for some reason, I in my mind had already taken this pawn, so I took it, but it makes no sense. One, it doesn't come with check, and two, my knight's hanging. So yeah, he just took my knight, and I said, oh, whoops, and the game is just lost. I blundered a piece, so the rest is just, you know, him converting. There's not even anything for me to do. He's up a full piece. And I played till the end. Stalemate. Yeah, this guy was bad at checkmating. And I was taken down by Fumo Mizi. Another complicated game. Bronstein Larsen is always me fighting for my life, but it's interesting. Maybe one day I'll figure it out. So we go again. Good games.